Gooseworks told us on Tumblr that episode 2 will focus on a character that we haven't met yet. But who will it be? Well, there's actually a way to figure this out. Gooseworks has said publicly that she doesn't watch the theories or plot suggestions because she doesn't want it affecting her writing. However, she does look at the fan art, of which the fans have made alternate universes of the amazing digital circus with brand new character ideas. But Gooseworks has said publicly that she doesn't like the characters which are created by content farm channels, which are pretty much those channels that make animation style content with very suggestive thumbnails with bare minimum effort by posting 10 times a day and hope to make some quick bucks while ruining the fan base. For example, one of these content farms made a character called Jaxie, which was a girl version of Jax, and the fan base loved this character. But Gooseworks did say on Twitter that she would like the character but doesn't because of where it came from. However, this all points to one thing: Gooseworks is looking at fan art for her own show, which means it'll definitely give her some ideas for what the character that she mentioned we never met yet will look like. And you might be thinking, Gooseworks already wrote the full season, why would this make any sense? And you're right, which means we have to look at the fan art that was made just after the pilot episode's release, before Gooseworks finished writing. As well, there are two more possibilities for this new character, the first being an abstracted character coming back, and the second are some of the old drawings that were made in early development, possibly being reused since Gooseworks would already have the character drawn out, so it would be easy for her to implement the character in the next episode. The first character that comes to everyone's mind is Queenie, and for those of you who don't know, Queenie is one of the characters that was abstracted inside of the dorm hall, and everyone assumes that she's linked to Kinger, and just because of their design, they're husband and wife. However, Gooseworks confirmed that this actually isn't true and that they just have similar character design, similar to the fact that there are 5 different clown characters who were in the circus, including Kaufmo and Pomni. But it is still a possibility that a character who was abstracted could come back, and the most likely to come back would definitely be Queenie because of the immediate hype and speculation of her character, and maybe Kinger and her would develop a relationship if she were to come back, but in my opinion, it's unlikely. The next possibility are unused characters. When the show was still under development in its earliest stages and sketches were being made for the designs of the characters, we see characters we know like Kane, Kinger, and Zubul. However, there are some here that we don't even recognize, one of which is this frog, which was actually supposed to be Pomni's original design. However, it was later changed, and I'm glad they did. But the rest of these designs are completely unused. We can see a snowman type character that has a button for an eye, so he could be Ragatha's counterpart, just like Queenie is Kinger's counterpart. We also see a sock puppet, which was probably scrapped because it's unknown what its body would be, a shadowy figure that almost looks like a human abstraction, which could possibly be the first stage to abstracting, and we also see a butterfly character, which means it's possible that characters can fly if they get the right body when they spawn in. Now, most of these seem unlikely to be the character, except for the snowman character. I can easily imagine him being Ragatha's counterpart. As well, his body would just be a snowman with white cloth, similar to Ragatha's cloth, and he'd fit right into the circus since Gooseworks already knows the character and could easily bring it to life in animation. And if you're hoping the butterfly character gets added, I think they didn't want a flying character in the circus because Kane and Bubbles, who are the controllers of the circus, and only they would have the ability to fly, which is kind of funny when you think about it, because it's almost like Kane is in creative mode because he can fly and teleport and make whatever he wants out of thin air. But now let's get to the actual fan art characters, which could have inspired the new character that we're going to be introduced to, one of which is actually Jax's evil twin sister named Jaj. This character was drawn by a fan on Twitter, which Gooseworks made multiple replies to, which means she was actually interested in Jaj as a character. And we know that Jax is extremely impatient, so imagine what it would be like if his evil twin sister was there constantly annoying him. And the thing is, we know that Jax is evil, so if he has an evil twin sister, imagine how much worse she would be compared to Jax. However, this is extremely unlikely because it wouldn't make sense for the story and would lead somewhere that the questionable artists would use. But speaking of siblings, a lot of people are speculating that 2 characters will join the circus soon, one of which being Pomni's sister and the other Pomni's brother, which could actually be interesting. However, both of these are never gonna happen. The people who are making videos based around Pomni's sister and brother are doing it for clickbait because some of the Amazing Digital Circus's audience would actually believe it, and they're depicted as the exact same body as Pomni, just with a different color striping on their character. But in my opinion, even if Pomni's sister or brother were to enter the circus, it wouldn't be anything close to that. When someone enters the circus, we know their entire memory is wiped to the point they can't even remember their names. So if Pomni's brother or sister were to actually join the circus, they wouldn't know, and Pomni wouldn't know that they're related, and they would actually have a totally new, randomly generated body that would look nothing like Pomni. It's actually the same probability that someone like Jax and Pomni are related compared to Pomni's siblings entering the circus. But these next 2 characters aren't even fan art and were drawn by Gooseworks herself, one of which is a mermaid style character named Greta with extremely long arms and pointy fingers, and even though the drawing isn't colored, I'm gonna assume that she has red hair to look similar to Ariel from The Little Mermaid. But this one probably won't get added to the show because Greta only has a tail, and it would be really hard to animate her somehow moving around on land. But there's a possibility that maybe she's a NPC style character similar to Kane that actually lives in the lake, which hopefully we'll see in the next episode. But this other character is one that I really want to see, and it's the Giga Chad Chicken. You can see I had to blur a word that he was saying, but just know that it rhymes with the word that Jax is saying in this photo. Now, the Giga Chad Chicken doesn't have a name, but he would be insanely cool to see as a character. I can already imagine he would have more of a deep voice with a careless attitude, but to be honest, if he were to appear in the circus, something gives me the feeling that he would abstract probably in the same exact episode. But here's a character that Gooseworks hates and might also include in the next episode, and her name is Gooby. She's based off of a stress ball and Stretch Armstrong toys, meaning she's squishy and can be stretched without breaking, which does fit the criteria of having to be a toy from the 90s to be a character in the circus. But Gooseworks' reply was a bit worrying when she said, "I want to close her hands and feet in the doors of 2 separate cars and have them drive in opposite directions," which sounds bad, but remember, it's a stretch toy, so it's just a curiosity thing and not actual death. And I think genuinely Gooby could be a good character addition because she seems somewhat normal in design like all the other current characters, and again, she's based off of old 90s toys, which pretty much every other character is as well, and she seems like she wouldn't immediately abstract. However, you never know, because Queenie abstracted and her design looks sophisticated and smart as the queen chess piece with a robe, and yet she's still abstracted. But let me know down in the comments which character you think we'll meet in the next episode. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and click on this video here.